What's up, everyone? Christian Duque, MZ Noble Weekly, episode 24, brought to you courtesy of IronMagLabs.com, your go-to source for all your bodybuilding and fitness supplements. Today is Wednesday, November the 29th. I'd like to get the ball rolling with Greg Valentino live. That's right, Greg Valentino, also known here at MD as the Ramblin' Freak, is on Instagram Live every Monday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Iron Mag Labs, and he will answer anything. Yesterday he was talking about taking a dump in a public restroom, and I guess he shat on the guy's shoes next to him, and the guy had to throw the shoes away and was chasing after Greg in his socks. And it was absolutely hilarious. I couldn't stop laughing. I was like laughing hysterically. People were looking at me like I was having like some kind of a seizure or something. But he talks about everything. You know, he was somebody that was incarcerated, someone that's worked his whole life, someone that's been in Hollywood and done all the shows, the TV shows, and not as a bodybuilding extra, but someone that was there as a guest and someone who they wanted to interview. And he's done all the Generation Irons, and he's been on Bigger, Stronger, Faster. I mean, he's truly a bodybuilding superstar, and you could see him every Monday night at Instagram, at Iron Mag Labs, at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The other thing I'd like to talk about, and very, very briefly, just kind of like going by, because I don't want to spend a lot of time like other websites that unfortunately seem to make their bread and butter off of autopsies and conspiracy theories, but the release of Dallas McCarver's autopsy took place. It was exactly what I thought it would be. A long history of coronary health issues in his family. Looks like is what contributed mostly to his death. There was nothing in there that was, suspect. Nothing in there that was like at all out of the blue for a bodybuilder on that level. And I mean, personally, I wish that, when it comes to Dallas and it comes to Rich, that we not focus on the autopsy and not try to look for conspiracy theories, and really truly remember them for the great athletes, the champion, the elite level athletes that they were, and how they inspired us as a sport and a community, and take that sentiment forward, and really not fall prey to sensationalizing misery and getting hits off of it. But one can only hope that everyone has that same mindset. Next, I would like to talk about Cedric McMillan, your 2017 Arnold Classic champion, won in San Marino, defeating Brandon Curry, who he lost to at the Ferrigno Legacy. A great way for Cedric to end the year. Should he have done better at the Mr. Olympia? Of course. He's Arnold Classic champion. He got 10th place, and 10th is probably 10th, I would say, is the lowest possible placing he could have gotten and still earn the respect of people, because Arnold Classic champion, I would say top 10 is like the absolute least that an Arnold Classic champion could get. Honestly, an Arnold Classic champion should be in contention to winning the Mr. Olympia. A solid top 3. At the very least in the top 5 or the top 6 or even the 7th position, which is also very coveted. But 10th, like I said, that to me is like that's like the most minimal effort, but still maintaining some face. And losing to Brandon Curry at the Ferrigno, I don't think was a major issue. Brandon is just absolutely insanely popular and talented, hardworking, excellent poser, and really battles it to the last second. So there's no shame there. But to win in San Marino against a deep lineup, I think, is a good way for Cedric to end the year. And I think a lot of people are expecting him to do great things in 2018 in Columbus. I mean, I know that he will defend that title. I hope that he will. I'd like to move on to Johnny Jackson in the Super League. I'm not a huge fan of Super League. They kind of rubbed me the wrong way by having their first event in Las Vegas on Olympia weekend. I thought that was kind of probably not the best way to go, but I'm constantly reminded that they are not a physique-based, or at least entirely physique-based federation, and that I should not perceive them as a rival to the IFBB Pro League or the NPC. So, I mean, even in that context, even if I don't see them as a rival, I still don't entirely understand. To me, it's like a physique meets CrossFit or something like that. But the problem is when you've got bodybuilders, physique-based athletes, really, even though Johnny is, without a doubt, a top-tier power lifter, but nonetheless, when you have people like, Johnny or, Paul Almeida or others, that are bodybuilders, physique-based athletes doing strength-based type competitions, it makes me a little uneasy. Now, Paulo also got injured. I don't know if he was injured at an actual Super League event or training in preparation for one. But, two big names in bodybuilding sidelined because of something dealing with Super League is not really a good... doesn't raise a lot of good feelings in me. But, again, when you have bodybuilders in their late 30s, 40s and beyond doing these types of competitions, I just don't know if it's worth it. You know what I mean? Now, I know that Johnny's retired and had a stellar career, but for bodybuilders that are still actively competing or that, may have just turned pro, I don't know that Super League is the best place for them to compete. But that's just my particular position. Now, I would also like to talk about Kevin Levrone, the Maryland Muscle Machine. His preparations for the Arnold Classic Australia effectively starting in December. And so many people are so inspired by Kevin. I mean, I was in Pittsburgh when he received and accepted Mr. Jim Mannion's special invitation to compete at the Mr. Olympia. And I have to tell you, it was nothing short of amazing. I mean, I heard of people that told me by name that, they cried at the Mr. Olympia. There were people like literally in tears because they'd never seen Kevin compete. You know what I mean? And he was full blown. I mean, the people at the Mr. Olympia were like totally just, they were like, it was a combination of nostalgia and adrenaline and just knowing that you were part of history. I mean, from the second that he accepted that invitation in Pittsburgh, people were saying, oh, he won't do it. No, he'll back out at the last minute. Something will come up and he won't do it. And he did it. And even when they were draining those fluids from his knees, even when he was undergoing excruciating therapies, and the man was in pain, the man could barely walk, he still got on the stage. And people are like, well, he didn't place where he needed to place. Well, that doesn't really matter, honestly, because I know people that went to that Mr. Olympia that had never been to one before, and they didn't go there to see Phil or Flexitron or Big Ramy. They went there because they wanted to see Kevin, and they left very satisfied. They were very happy to have gone and made the trip. So when people say about placings, or the fact that maybe logistically Kevin hasn't been able to do some other shows in the past, things do come up. But this is not a man that is, look, the real challenge, was the Olympia, and he did that. So if something else comes up and he hasn't been able to do some of these other shows, I really would not hold that against him or write him off as never competing again. I think, again, that goes back to that, Pittsburgh show where he accepted the invitation, and to the, the days, the weeks, and the months leading to that Mr. Olympia where the haters were getting louder and louder saying that he wouldn't get on stage. I think that is part and parcel of the problem, because a lot of those folks today are the ones saying, it shouldn't be the road to, Australia. It should be like the road to deception. I read someone said that on one of the forums, which is ridiculous because, honestly, Kevin already did the biggest show in bodybuilding, when, time was ticking, and he got, the invitation from one of the most powerful, most respected, influential people in our sport, and he did it. So I kind of, to me, honestly, hearing haters say that he'll never compete again, it's kind of silly, to be, 100% honest with you. But it is what it is. And finally, I just want to tell folks, listen, now, we had Black Friday, we had Cyber Monday, people were buying stuff like left, right, and center. Now is the time where, it's starting to get real cold. We went up to Michigan, and it was pretty damn cold. Like we were close to Detroit for Thanksgiving, and then we went to the other side of the state, up there by Cadillac, for, I think, like 2 or 3 days. Now, Cadillac's always cold, but I'm just saying, it's getting really cold now, so you're going to see a lot of people joining gyms. Supplements are supplement sales are gonna go through the roof, and this is the time really where the fitness industry does its best. A lot of you folks out there that seem to think the fitness industry when you really don't, seem to think that it's in the summer months, and it's not. Fitness industry does its best from a sales perspective in the cold months. Especially if you're north of the Mason-Dixon line, especially if you're in states like Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, New England, the Pacific Northwest. I mean, you're talking about states where it's like blistering cold, and there's not a lot of places where you can go. I remember when I was up in school in Lansing, Michigan, going to Powerhouse or going to the YMCA. I mean, those were like the best things ever. And you'd race in there and train and do your cardio and sit up there and have a protein meal or whatnot and talk to people about bodybuilding. I mean, it was a lot of fun. Then you go back out and it was like slush. I'm talking just a mixture of mud, ice, snow, and just this really cold wind that would make you feel like, your nose and ears were no longer attached to your head. Really cold. So now if you're in Florida, you know what the hell I'm talking about. But nonetheless, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. MZ Noble Weekly, episode 24, 24 episodes. To think, go back in time to when folks on the forums were doing polls, and I think there was like a charity concert or something like that, and just a bunch of shit. You know what I mean? And here I am. I mean, we passed the 10 mark, and past the dozen mark, and now we're up to 24. And who knows? I mean, who knows if I'll be doing this for episode 100? Could you imagine? It's just crazy. But I could not have done it without Iron Mag Labs, who I'm also marketing director for, and that's just a blast. Working with Greg Valentino and Rick Drazen and so many other folks, and Camerica and Ilias and just all these folks, and traveling the country. If it wasn't for Iron Mag Labs and all their support, I would never have been able to cover shows in Florida, Ohio, here in Kentucky, all over the place. I mean, Pittsburgh. I've been to New York. I've been to Illinois. I've been to. I sound like what's his name? What's that guy's name? The Democratic, like Howard Dean. We're gonna go to Washington. We're gonna go to Oregon. We're gonna go like that. But Iron Mag Labs, Florida. So many trips to Florida, southern states, a little more classic. I mean, Iron Mag Labs has been awesome with me. And, now as marketing director, we're just going to continue on, and we're just going to take over. We are going to take over. All right, guys, make your mark. Iron Mag Labs. Thanks for watching. Christian Duque, MD Noble Weekly.